Okay, welcome back. This one's going to be short and sweet. This is about content sets and using commercially provided loops. I've got two demos here I want to show you real quick. This first one, look at that. I just put this together literally in the last 5 minutes. It sounds like this. Okay, this was put together using a Steinberg content set. Here's another thing I threw together from an outfit called Loop Masters. Might help if I muted the first one. They don't get along well. Okay, so you get the idea. Now, if you want to do stuff like that or use pieces and parts of that as a complement to your own work, let's open Media Bay and see how to do that. Okay, I mentioned in the last video that I prefer to use Media Bay for loop work, not the loop browser, and here's why. Over in the locations area, let's look in the VST Sound file first. Some of this stuff is going to be the same as you guys have, like the Groove Agent 1 content, which is where all the drum sounds for that thing live, and Heyland, Sonic SE's stuff, Pad Shop, whatever. But if you look here, you'll see several content sets. Content sets contain, when you buy a content set, you get this audio folder. This one happens to have 13 songs in it. Each song, if we come down here to number 4, and I'm going to make Media Bay bigger so you can see everything that's going on. Inside this folder are all these different bass part A1, bass part A2, then the drums, and all of these waves here are designed to go together. They're Legos for music. And so if I click on them, okay, and drum part, you get the idea here, the second bass band. And those are the component pieces that make up this guy. He sounds a little dirgy because I had the tempo dialed down to 120. Those were originally written and recorded at 150. If I pump that up, it should sound a little more natural. That should sound more natural. Okay, so you wouldn't have to use those all together. You don't have to build the Lego thing that's shown on the box. You can take your Legos and build whatever you want. So you could, just use the drums portion of it, or just use the bass line or whatever. But the idea with the construction kit is you're paying for all these component pieces, all these wave files that you can go make the next great American pop tune using some or all of those, and part of what you're paying for is a license agreement to do whatever you want with them. The one thing I'd say about the Steinberg loops, there's no vocal content. I don't know why. I can't find anything there that has vocal content. The Loop Masters thing here, by comparison, has got a lot more going for it in terms of vocals and stuff. So let's look at those real quick. I'm going to switch over to Chrome. Here's the Steinberg shop, online shop, and a bunch of their loop sets here, all different genres and things. You pick one. So if you buy the Platinum Guitars loop set, you'll get all the component parts to make all the different things on the demos, but they'll be chunked out into individual verse, chorus. And the advantage there, just like the Alan Morgan stuff that came with Cubase, one of the things you're buying is all, like the drums in particular, are all going to be recorded in an LA studio or Berlin studio or whatever with all the best stuff, and you can just sort of have that. You don't have to screw around for hours trying to get the snare right if your focus is not the audio recording itself. All right, this is a home page for this outfit. I use some Loop Masters. They're a little pricier, but you get a lot more here when you get a again, you've got you can scroll for days into, do you want artists or do you want genres or whatever. There's spoken word stuff, there's sound effects, all kinds of jazz in here, literally. One of the neat things about the Loop Masters products are they come with both MIDI and audio data, and the audio data has been processed through it's turned into what are called Rex files. So it's all pre-sliced to drop into samplers or to do tempo stretching and things with. So you'll pay 30-40 bucks a pop typically for this stuff, but you'll get a lot for that. What that looks like, if we go back into Media Bay here for a moment, I'm going to close up the VST Sound file. Remember, VST Sound is where all the Steinberg content autopilots to. I'm going to open up File System. This is going to look at the overall network here. If I come into Media 1, which is actually a remote drive over there, with a lot of stuff on it, client files and whatnot, I'm going to come down to a folder here called Production Loops, just as a for instance, and here is a folder called Killer Acapellas, just something that we bought from Loop Masters for a project last year for Reason. And you can see all these different waveforms there, and Rex files, and there's MIDIs and all kinds of stuff in here. Let's see if we actually may be harder to see in Media Bay than. I'll open up the main drive in just a second and show you. But what you've got in here is, let's see, here's the folder for somewhere. Yeah, okay, so here's the vocal loops for that piece. And they come dry.
Somewhere in your sleep, you must know that I'm...
Not my first choice, but it worked well for the demo we were trying to do. And you can get that same, if you want to just use their
You must know
effects.
that I'm weak.
You've got verse 2 and all that.
Without my silver cloth.
Not the best writing in the world, not the worst either. I mean, it works for what it is. If you're a DJ and you need material to mash up, or you're just looking for backing tracks or something, you can just grab a loop set, put it together according to the picture on the box, and you have something to go forth and do stuff with. If you look here, unlike the Steinberg loop sets, the Loop Masters, which cost about twice as much, come with the MIDI files too. So if you wanted to, let me close this for a second, come back in here. You see I've built this with all audio loops. If you wanted, you could have the bass line and the piano or whatever brought in as MIDI, so you can do, I don't want their MIDI sounds, I want to use Retrolog sounds or whatever, but keep the vocal and stuff like that. It lets you do that. And then you have wave files for all of those, so if you want the drums, you know, as audio instead of MIDI, that kind of thing. And of course, the whole point of this then is that you can pull in some or all of that. You can put your stuff with it. You can so on and so forth. You get the idea. So if you want to use loops in sort of the song building fashion, that's one way to. A couple of sources of commercially available stuff and how you can mix and match. And then I'm going to wrap this up. We'll do one more, I think, shortly on Loop Mash, which is kind of a thing unto itself. So that's it for now. See you in just a minute.